Welcome to GlowJob, the beauty podcast that's more than skin deep. We call it a job because real beauty takes work.
Do you listen to Sexy Red?
Of course I do.
Okay, so she is the most wild. That girl is freaking wild.
She is raunchy.
Raunchy, yeah. So the reason I'm talking about her, though, is that she came out with a new single.
Okay.
Have you heard it?
No.
Okay, so it's with Bruno Mars, which is kind of a weird, to me, collab there because, like, I think of him as, like, Disney family-friendly, like, pop, blah, 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 blah. And she came out with a single, and guess what it's called?
Tell me.
Fat, Juicy, and Wet.
Oh, my God. I mean, for her, that's totally on brand.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all with the Bruno Mars thing. I mean, he's been doing a lot of collabs lately, but I also think that he's not the good boy that you think he is.
Really?
Oh, no. So there's all these rumors going around out there that he is like tens of millions of dollars in debt. And so I don't know if you know this, but he is one of the top performing kind of private musicians where he's able to charge like $50K, $100K for just like flying out to some kid's Sweet 16 and just like singing 3 songs. And because you make a ton of money that way. And it's 3 songs. It's what, like 30 minutes? So I guess you got to fly to wherever it is.
Right.
But yeah,
Ooh,
he's been
Bruno.
bad. He's been bad.
Well, I was like, he's like dropping these raunchy ass lyrics. And I was like, Bruno, you are like a little, he's like a little tot. I couldn't take him seriously.
He is, but he's bad. Like I've heard some things.
Okay, like,
you know, he's really good friends with Anderson .Paak, who
yeah.
I used to love, but do not love anymore.
Why?
Because he just like disrespects his wife. Well, I guess his now ex-wife, like all, like anytime he goes on tour, like kind of like girlfriend in every city. And this woman literally was supporting him from the very beginning of his career when he was broke. And just to like flagrantly cheat on your wife just because you see a little bit of fame is just like no loyalty.
So we don't like Bruno because of the association with Anderson .Paak.
And just like, I don't know, he's just like not, he's just like a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, like.
Bruno?
Yes.
Baby Bruno?
Baby Bruno.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Not Disney Channel friendly.
I am learning a lot right now. Okay, guys. So today we're going to jump into our very first beauty conference that GlowJob has attended, Luxe Pack and Makeup in LA, a 2-for-1 conference that goes over all of the packaging in the beauty world.
It was honestly so fascinating. So I'm really excited to get into it.
Yeah.
But to kick it off, we also have a little bit of like beauty news to run you guys through.
Yes, there are a lot of things that have been happening the past week or so. We got to catch up.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So the biggest news in my book was definitely Beauty of Joseon pulling their iconic sunscreen. It's their Relief Sun Rice and Probiotic.
Oh, this one gutted me.
You know, I have never met a person who isn't absolutely obsessed with this. I know.
Guilty.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really sad, but you know, we've just been hearing about it, that it was kind of coming. We all knew it might happen, might not happen.
We had a feeling. So Julia and I went to the Beauty of Joseon pop-up that happened in LA. I think it was in November, right? Last year?
In the fall.
In the fall. And I remembered at the pop-up, they were selling their newer sunscreen. So we had an idea that there might have been some change-ups coming.
Well, for me also at the pop-up, they weren't selling their iconic sunscreen.
Well, and that's the thing. It's because of these regulatory issues, right? And we're going to dive into that. But you know, in the US, you cannot sell sunscreens that have unapproved sunscreen agents. And so Beauty of Joseon is known for using really advanced UVA, UVB filters. And we knew that they couldn't sell that at the store in Los Angeles, right? Because that's in the domestic US. But they still at that time were selling it online.
On their website.
On their website, which is part of the loophole that a lot of international brands have been playing into. So speaking of those regulatory issues, what's happening right now is there's a bigger crackdown from the FDA on these non-approved sunscreen agents. And so I think what happened is that Beauty of Joseon has been very, very, clear in terms of their desire to expand in the US market.
Yes.
And because of that, they probably wanted to do 2 things. One, they wanted to avoid scrutiny from the FDA, because if you're trying to sell in the US, you really don't want the FDA on your ass. And 2, what I think is that they likely wanted to streamline their supply chain. So there are lots of brands out there that do a sunscreen for their US market, and then they do a non-US sunscreen that can be sold everywhere else, right? I think because they are perhaps growing, I don't know what their budget restraints are, I think they probably wanted to streamline everything so they just have one sunscreen or, two sunscreen products that could be distributed internationally.
Absolutely. And in my opinion, I think what their next big play is going to be is I can totally see them going in store, whether it's a Target,
Yes.
Ulta, something like that. And they have to have everything super buttoned up and absolutely no kind of like possibility of any legal issues. So I think that's what they're going to be doing in the coming months.
I think so too.
But it was crazy. So I kind of knew what's happening. But when I saw Charlotte Cho talk about it,
oh yeah,
that's how I knew it was over. Because Charlotte Cho runs Soko Glam, and it is just an online distributor of all of our favorite Korean beauty products. And I'm sure that they make so much through Beauty of Joseon sales.
Oh, yeah.
So when she came on Instagram and was just talking about, we're pulling it, it's no longer going to be available, I knew that was just the nail in the coffin for them.
It was bad.
It was a sad day.
It was a really sad day.
I remember I woke up, I saw it, and I'm like, Sasa, look at this.
I know. And then I freaked out and panic buyed, just like everyone else on the internet. When that news came out, I was like, oh shit. And I went on to my computer and I was like, yes, Style, all of Young, all the websites, because it wasn't on the website anymore.
As you could tell, there's no one that panics like a Sasa panic, because show them the haul.
Bam. And you know what? There's more in my bathroom. I got some more for Andrew because he likes the that blue one that's like very like liquidy. And then I have one in my bathroom and I got another one for my mom. But like, okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I bought a mini travel. And then, oh wait, this is also another one. So I bought 12, 13?
Okay.
Did I buy 13
I mean, you
sunscreen?
outbought me. I have 3 backup bottles.
Oh, that's
that I'm
good.
just going to hoard.
Yeah.
But also, I guess, keep the expiration date in mind.
Well, these expire, I checked, 2027. So I think I'm good. I use a
Okay.
lot of sunscreen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm okay.
Okay, you're good. I know everyone is heartbroken, but they have been trying to give us, I guess, replacement products that we can fall in love with so we don't just totally abandon the brand. I mean, we've both tried some of their skincare products.
Yeah.
Not bad. I love their daily cleansing oil that they have, the ginseng oil.
I love the balm. It's really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, the cleansing balm.
But in terms of sunscreen, they came out with 2. The first one, I think, is trying to be more of like a one-to-one replacement for the iconic brand, but just using US approved. Have you tried that one?
I have. I don't love it. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. The reason why it was so good, Beauty of Joseon, is that they were using different filters. So like the viscosity in your face, just like the texture, everything just felt nicer.
The thing is, it's still a great face sunscreen, especially compared to other US sunscreens.
Sure.
But it
yeah.
just is not the same.
Yeah.
And I think people are noticing that. You'd have to be absolutely blind if you didn't notice the differences. But another product they came out with was a daily tinted sunscreen.
Oh, yes.
And we have one here. So
Yeah.
let's show them.
So this one is, which shade is this guy? I think it's like a 9. Oh, 10. This is a shade 10. So this is like color matched for kind of like you and me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's not what I expected initially because it's pretty...
Liquidy.
It's very liquidy. It gives me, here, I don't know if you can kind of see that, but it gives me the vibe of the La Roche-Posay like fluid sunscreen. You know what I'm talking about? The white one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's that kind of fluidy. And it's definitely more, to me, of a satin finish.
I mean, I like it. It's definitely, I mean, obviously it's totally different again from their original sunscreen. They just want to bring something amazing to the US market. And I think that this is a really nice option for a daily kind of no makeup kind of look.
Yeah, no, it's good. This is definitely a good daily, like, it's part of like your base, right? It's like really pretty.
I think for me, I do prefer like a more full coverage look, even day to day. So I would just use this as a base. I don't think it would replace my actual kind of go-to
Like your foundation.
one-step product. Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, it's nice. Like, look, of the two, I would prefer this one, the tinted one. I think it's really hard to get us OG lovers of the probiotic sunscreen to flip to this new one, in my opinion. It's just not the same. Ugh.
I'll still use mine up for sure, just because I am that obsessed with sunscreen that I just use it with every bottle that I purchase. I never throw anything away, especially if you don't like it. Just put it on your chest, put it on your arms,
it's like becomes a
etc.
body sunscreen.
But the fluid face one is really great.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah.
All of this regulatory stuff that's happening right now, especially with like Beauty of Joseon and a lot of other sunscreens, has a lot to do with this upcoming act called MOCRA, which is slated to pass in the next like couple of years. I think they're saying like 2026, 2027, we would probably see the effects of this. But basically, this act gives the FDA a lot more runway in terms of how they can monitor cosmetic and skincare companies. As of right now, the FDA doesn't really do jack much to oversee them. MOCRA essentially will require brands to actually have to register with the FDA. As of now, if you start a skincare company or a makeup company, you just start and go. You don't have to worry about registration. This would also allow the FDA to strengthen their safety testing, which is good for the consumer, right? And it also requires now that if a company has a product that causes serious adverse effects or allergies, they have to report this to the FDA directly. And because of this, the FDA now can also enforce recalls in skincare and cosmetics.
Interesting, because I know that some companies have gone through recalls in the past. I know First Aid Beauty recently had one with one of their like coconut scented creams, and I think it was due to something in one of the specific batches. It had to be recalled. But even though the FDA is cracking down, I really hope it kind of works on the other side where they're working to promote innovation, because one of the problems we have with sunscreen in the United States is we basically have like 5 or 6 approved ingredients. Like, you know, there's like avobenzone, like you can name them on one hand, but the last time they added a new ingredient or improved a new ingredient, what has it been, like 15 years?
It's been more. It was 1999.
1999. Okay.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be really hypocritical for them to be cracking down on all these laws, but then at the same time, not allow for any type of innovation to occur.
So the FDA is saying that MOCRA is here to basically like protect the consumer. They're saying we're protecting the consumer. And I get it. These are all things that will protect the consumer. Sure. But you know what also protects the consumer? Researching into new innovative ingredients that are more effective than the ones that have been on the market for over 30 years.
Absolutely. And that's why people like Korean sunscreen so much. Like it does work better, the UVA, and they're kind of like, they're actually their whole rating system with the PA plus, however many pluses your sunscreen achieves, that goes for a stronger UVA protection when it comes to the sun's rays. And that's just going to be better for the consumer long term. So it's crazy that they're pulling sunscreens that are proven to work better for people's skins. So I'm a little bit hesitant about this act. Also, especially when it comes to small businesses wanting to be able to thrive, going through FDA processes, whether it's like clinical testing, clinical research, approvals, whatever, that is expensive to do. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot of pros, obviously, but there could potentially be more cons.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword. But like, it's like going to the DMV. Like, God, if you have to go to the DMV at all, you're like, oh my God, I have an entire day just wrecked, right? Because I have to go through all this like long process of waiting in the line and dealing with it. I mean, the FDA is obviously meant to protect us as consumers and citizens, but anytime you have to deal with a government agency, everything just gets backlogged. And I'm worried. I'm worried for these companies.
I mean, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe Elon will just like come in and like doge the crap out of
everything. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, another fun beauty news. Do you watch White Lotus?
It is literally one of my favorite TV shows.
I love it. It's so good. Okay, so Kiehl's just came out with a collab with White Lotus.
Good for them.
I know, right? Okay. I actually was thinking that Kiehl's is kind of like not really cool anymore, but I'm like, hey, good for them for being on top of trends and realizing this is the show you want to be tied to.
I mean, it was going to be sooner or later that skincare companies start doing more active. I don't know if it's going to be like product placement in the show or whatever, but I feel like when you watch anything these days, like every single bottle of water, like Coca-Cola, like the label is just like strategically twisted to face the camera. And so I think skincare is obviously like the next frontier for, those types of integrations when it comes to media.
That makes sense. The Kiehl's White Lotus collab is basically a little beach tote that comes with these TSA approved size travel skincare items. So it's their facial barrier balm, their midnight recovery concentrate, their creme de corpse body lotion, and then they have 2 exclusive products that are tied to this. It's a lip balm in mango and then a cucumber spritz facial spray. All comes into a cute little tote and it retails for $80.
Okay, that's cute. That's cute. It's so funny. When I think about like movie or TV show branded collaborations, to me, it always leans like Disney princess stuff that comes out, or like the Wicked collabs, or like the Wicked makeup everywhere. But I like that it's going White Lotus.
White Lotus is fun.
It's so fun.
Hey, if they were really smart, they would have all the Kiehl's products in the rooms in the show, like you were saying. But
Maybe.
let's see when it comes out if they do that. Oh, that would be so smart of them.
I think they're definitely going to do it.
I hope so because, I go to Equinox and like...
They got rid of Kiehl's.
I know, exactly. Because that was the whole selling point of Equinox back in the day was we have Kiehl's products and then now they're not there. So
I think they replaced it with Grown Alchemist.
Yes.
And people were pissed. Like they were really mad about it.
Were they mad?
Yes.
Oh.
There were some people that are like, oh, I'm going to cancel my Equinox subscription, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's like a $300 plus month subscription. You can go buy a $30 lotion for your house. Like if you can afford an Equinox membership.
People like to bitch, that's just how it is.
Any opportunity. All right, so let's get into all of the things that we learned and picked up on from the conference. First things first, this thing was massive. It was at the LA Convention Center in downtown, and I was so surprised at how big this was. So it was technically a 2-in-1 conference. Part of it was called Luxe Pack, which is all about packaging, and the other half was called Makeup in LA, which is mostly just about like the color cosmetics space, I feel like, and just the creation and kind of white labeling that goes into all of these products. But first and foremost, I think the audience was mostly professionals.
Yeah, there was mostly professional. I would say mostly people in the beauty industry, obviously. I think within that segment of like people working for brands,
press.
There was press, there were some PR folks. I ran into some people who were also like commercial banking and they were just looking to help finance these, packaging companies. But, it was definitely more lean towards beauty/cosmetics.
Definitely. And I think, but they did have a lot of great speakers come in as well. And we'll share a few of our favorites. But for the most part, I have heard that this was actually the smallest one that they've had in a while.
I feel like in general with conferences, especially post-COVID, that's been the trend. Right?
Sure.
Because they're just still trying to rescale back up and like get people to come in person, even though it's been so many years now. I guess it's just like an after effect.
I guess so. But a lot of these brands, they were coming in from all over the world. Like obviously there's, your American brands, there's some from like New Jersey, Texas, etc. But tons and tons of Koreans, shocker, and a lot of people from China, but also like all over Europe as well.
I was thinking about it and I think the highest concentrations for packaging and white labeling in particular, they were the 3 international ones. Big ones would be Korea, China, and then France. France was definitely up there for European providers.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So we're talking about packaging and then like packaging encompasses so many things you wouldn't even imagine. Like we're talking about the packaging of like the bottles, right? So like your serum bottle or like the container that your sunscreen is in. We're talking about the packaging that like when you're opening the product, like the paper packaging outside of that. We're talking about ship boxes. So if you're ordering direct from the brand and they come into like a pretty box and you open it and there's all the print on it. We're even talking about sample packaging. Like when you go to Sephora and you get those samples, a lot of thought goes into how those samples are put together and displayed. And we're also talking about PR boxing, like basically everything under the freaking sun. If there's packaging, they're there.
It was amazing to me because of course, like I knew a lot of steps were involved, but it was just almost overwhelming when you go and you see all of the different vendors. But it's amazing because you can also see a lot of the innovation as well. And because there's also a range, right? Like there's always going to be like the high end packaging, the low end packaging. But when it comes to innovation, I think a lot of people will really focus on sustainable packaging options.
Yes, that was a big thing this year.
Yeah. So a lot of like eco-friendly brands, and you can kind of tell when they were promoting it because it looked like their booth was made out of like hemp or recycled paper. You know what I'm talking? It had like, the dark green font with the leaf, but
it's a look. It's a look.
It's a look. And I think that it's good that they're really being trend forward and focusing on what consumers want. Because I think back in the day, people didn't really care about sustainable packaging options, but they had entire seminars on new product innovations that goes into like the plastics, for example, and wanting to replace more plastic things.
Right. Like there was that ocean packaging speaker. And so basically what they had done is they'd taken ocean plastics and produced a sort of sustainable bottling that is about like 90 to 95% ocean plastic. So that's pretty cool.
It was cool. But also things that I wouldn't realize is like he was telling us that the plastics are only available in like X colors.
Yes. Oh, so I pushed back on him on that. I was like, wait, so like, are you telling me I can only do like dark green and dark blue and whatever? And then he kind of backtracked and he was like, no, we can do a white. And he was explaining like how they add the coloring in to change it. But I think there are some limitations still. And then the other part of me just also wonders, and call me a cynic, but do people really care about this?
I think they do, because maybe not so much. I think the packaging, yes. Like I think so many brands now are giving people recyclable options, or they have the refill options.
I love
too.
that. Yeah.
And so I think people do care, because I've bought refills before, and I'm not like the biggest like I believe in climate change. I'm not the biggest like eco-friendly person though.
Yeah.
Right. Like I make smart, conscious decisions, but I'm never choosing a brand because.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, is anyone really out there being like, oh, this serum and this serum, well, this one has the eco-friendly packaging, so I'm definitely going to buy this one. I feel like people are more price sensitive than that.
I would say price sensitive, maybe. I think it all depends, but I think that there are people who make decisions off of that. But I know that greenwashing has been a huge issue in the beauty community, fashion community, every single community for a long time now. But I think it's good to have options. And I think refillables are probably the best option to do, because that reduces the most amount of packaging rather than buying a brand new product that's a little more eco-friendly.
Totally. Yeah, that's what I mean. I just want something that's like actually doing something. Like, don't just tout eco-friendly. Yeah. I don't need more marketing BS up my butt. I'm good. But then in terms of other sort of like trends and innovations that we definitely saw a lot of those metal tip applicators on lip products, which is interesting. I mean, Julia, you have one of the Edam ones,
I have one, and I brought it. And first, I do like the product that comes in it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. But the metal tip applicators absolutely suck. Like, they just look disgusting and dirty. Like, I literally just opened this and it's disgusting. And it was funny because when we were walking around and talking to all of these vendors who had these types of options available, we asked them, I'm like, are they popular? Like, do people actually like these? And they said no.
Yeah. They were saying in terms of orders placed, very few, but they felt like they had to display a lot of the metal applicators because it's such a trending thing in beauty right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's trending. I like a metal applicator more for eye products and eye product application, but for the lips, like, it's like a colored lip balm. It looks disgusting.
It looks gross.
I like my products to look clean when I put them on, and I feel like I have to wipe it off before I put it onto myself. And I don't know. I don't think they'll be around for much longer because I'm just not a fan.
And not just that, like you were saying, it's nice on your under eyes because it's cooling, right? I don't want really cold shit on my lips in the middle of the day. It jolts me in a not satisfying way.
Yeah, and for me, when I get too cold, my lips literally turn blue, like around the edges. And so I feel like if I put something cold on, like, I don't know, it's just not my favorite. But everybody did have it, and they came in so many different sizes.
I know.
It was fabulous to see how many different types of like lip gloss applicators are out there.
Yes.
And I guess it's true, because when I look at my collection, like, nothing has the same applicator, right? So I guess like the innovation does have to come from somewhere. But when you see them all at once, it is crazy.
It is. It's overwhelming.
It's like an ocean.
But other things that were also trending, we saw a lot of these like squeeze dropper bottles. And to be quite frank, they all looked a little nipply to me, or like baby bottle vibes.
Baby bottle for sure. I mean, I get it. I think some of the benefits is that, you have really precise control over how much product gets distributed. And then also it can help reduce with oxidization,
right?
I believe, right? Especially if it's like a vitamin C product, it's going to keep the oxygen out so it stays nice and fresh. But they were just ugly.
Yeah.
They were really ugly. And I don't know.
Beauty's all about looks. Like, you kind of have to put that to consideration when you're making a product.
Right. Like, it kind of felt like medicinal almost when I was trying to dispense it. And I'm like, this kind of takes away from that luxury feel of certain packaging that I like.
Right. Same.
But other than that, we did get a chance to attend some really interesting sessions. And I think that they did a really good job at the conference of getting interesting speakers and interesting topics. One of them was all about the ASMR related to packaging, which I thought was so genius, because obviously, and I'm not talking about like ASMR where people go like, oh, like, look at the packaging, like not that kind of ASMR, but it's even things like when, like the suction of when you open up a lipstick to, or like,
know how obsessed I am with that.
Yes. Or like the kind of like the magnetic kind of like clickingness of like, different types of caps.
So satisfying.
I know. And I remember like Steve Jobs from Apple is super, super famous for being obsessed with packaging and design. And so I remember reading about when they were designing the boxes for their products, like when you open up an Apple box, there's that like, it's kind of hard to open. It doesn't just like fly open.
Yeah.
They have like a suction for it. And they went through so many iterations of really trying to get the perfect amount of suction on that like iPad box or whatever it is. But, you know, people really pay attention to that. And so I think it's almost like tapping into their reptilian brain of just like that sensory component that, you know, and it's all tied to like luxury vibe.
Yeah.
Feel. But it was interesting to hear them talk about that.
It was so cool. And also speaking about like those Apple boxes, I mean, I bought a MacBook recently. For some reason, I still have the damn box.
Throw it away.
I know. But like, you know what I mean? I agree. I should. It's so stupid. But like the fact that it's very satisfying and it gives you that luxury feel. You feel as if the box is part of the product.
Yes.
Like, I've also ordered some luxury, you know, products before, whether it be handbags or just like expensive makeup and beauty products. And the packaging is so gorgeous that you feel guilty throwing away.
You want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
On eBay and like secondhand markets, people sell their boxes.
See, this is what I'm talking about. People are
why? I just like that to me is something I just don't get. Like to me, it is trash. Just throw it away. But I hear that some people buy the boxes because they buy the fake product that goes in the box.
I was wondering if that's the case. Yeah.
So some of it's that, but I don't know. I've been in some like chuggy ass apartments of like, I'm not going to put people on blast here, but they like display their boxes of like their like Louis Vuitton and Hermes bags. And I'm just like, that is so lame.
It's tacky. I know. I know. But I'm telling you, this is a thing. Cause like if I'm not stupid. I know I should throw away the box, but like for some reason it's hard, you know?
What are you going to do with it?
Sometimes when I'm doing like my closet organizing, like this is back when I was in New York, if I had like drawers, I like using the Apple box sometimes to put as a divider and then it divides the drawer.
Okay, that's fair.
It's actually something I used to do a lot. And it was a really good hack. It's just like, I don't want to waste it. Like,
at least you're reusing it and not putting it on like your bar cart to display to people. Because that's what some people do with like their little
fugly.
It's so tacky. But they do it with like their little Hermes boxes for like their, when they buy like the Twilly, like the.
Oh, yeah. I'm over that. That's not cute. So one of the other things that I find like super fun to dish about, specifically about this conference, is that there were so many white labelers there. And this is like how you get to see behind the curtain, right?
Yes.
It's crazy. And the other funny thing is like, they're not calling it white labeling anymore. They're branding it turnkey.
Honestly, I think that's hilarious. But white labeling has gotten a bad rap over the years because there are so many brands.
Yes.
So many brands that the founders, the teams, they don't do shit when it comes to the formulation or the product that they're selling. They just go and they find her like, oh, that's a pretty shade. I'll buy it, slap my own label on it and hawk it to the masses. And so I think that's kind of why they're rebranding from white labeling a little bit to more turnkey. But it was crazy actually seeing who, I don't know if they're all using the same like turnkey solutions on the product themselves, but who definitely use the same packaging distributors.
Yeah, for sure. And just one step back, in case you're not familiar with white labeling, it literally just means you are taking a product that has already been made and you're slapping on your brand's label.
Yeah.
And that formula that they're using can be used by multiple brands. It's not just your formula.
Yes. And that's why a lot of times you'll talk to people and they'll be trying like different products and they're like, it feels the exact same. It smells the exact same.
This feels like a dupe to me.
And I'm like, no shit. It's like, it is the same.
It is a dupe.
It is the same.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't realize that. And it was amazing to me just to see how many, I guess, turnkey, not white label, but turnkey options there were. And yeah.
And it's incestuous. Like you'd be shocked to know that some of your favorite brands plural, are all using the same person or same company to produce their products.
I know when we were walking past some of these booths and they would kind of highlight who their brands were, it looked like it was like literally like a Sephora.
Yes.
Like all the brands that you see at Sephora, they're using the same packaging people, the same like white label,
same formula,
same formula. But at the same time, you know, producing products in-house is expensive.
It's very expensive.
It's expensive. It's super high risk because you're not just caring about like the ingredients and the formulation, but mass producing it and making sure that each batch is consistent. It makes a lot of sense why brands just want to kind of push off those responsibilities.
Yeah. And what was interesting is that we talked to some of these turnkey manufacturers and they told us, you know, obviously they work with a lot of big brands And some of these big brands, they're not producing everything as turnkey. Let's say a makeup brand is known for their foundation, and then now they want to do eyeshadow palettes, but they don't want to put in the R&D to do that, right? So they might just turnkey
one SKU, two SKUs.
Exactly. But then the other things they do in-house. So it's a bit of a piecemeal situation here.
And I think that's good. Like, you can't just have everything come off of the same assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was really fun to see. It was so funny. Some of the booths, they actually brought some of their materials to like fill bottles. There was that one station where you could make your own products.
Yeah. And there was one white labeler, AKA turnkey company. It was so interesting because their whole branding for companies was that they don't disclose who they work with. So
it was so
secret.
Yeah, because every single other booth, they had every single product they could possibly do, because that's how you get people's attention when they're walking by. But they had this like very mysterious elegance to them. They're like, oh, we're not going to call out who we work with. We protect our clientele.
Hush, hush.
Hush, hush. But like that piqued my interest for sure. Like, oh, I want to know. I want to know.
Who do you work with?
So funny. And it's interesting because even for these turnkey solution manufacturers, like they have researchers and scientists on site. Some of them really just focused on kind of some more scientific brands, like sciencey skincare brands. And it's amazing that a lot of those brands use the same exact teams.
Yep.
And I guess
sense.
I'd have to double check on like how different like the price fluctuations vary, but I'm going to keep it in mind the next time I go shopping for sure.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, it was interesting because there were also some turnkey people who did high-low, right? Like,
oh yes,
you saw that one. Yeah, they did Revlon and they did, what was it?
Chantecaille.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're doing that is crazy. Like Chantecaille products are literally so expensive. They're beautiful. The packaging is super elegant, yada, yada, yada. And it was so funny walking by that booth because you see all the Chantecaille products that like I cannot afford to buy right now. Yeah. And then next to like a CoverGirl lipstick.
Yeah. Funny.
But true, because I don't think they can lie at those things because people will call them out.
Exactly. It's how the dog food's made, you guys. Oof.
Okay, so Sasa, what was your favorite thing that you learned from the conference?
Okay, so the best thing I learned was probably, there's a really cool talk about AI and beauty, and that really piqued my interest because obviously DeepSeek, ChatGPT, like this is so on everyone's minds right now. There was this one speaker for Potion AI. She was the co-founder of Potion AI. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about just kind of how she sees the industry. And I think seeing this convergence of multiple speakers talk about how AI is going to affect not only like the manufacturing process, the consumer experience, just everything I thought was illuminating, and it makes me excited for what's on the forefront for the industry.
No, it's good. I think that you cannot escape AI at this point, and that every single industry is going to have to learn how to integrate it in one form or another. But, there were a couple of different brands on that panel. Like one was Alibaba, and they were talking about using AI in the shopping experience, which I found fascinating.
I love that.
So it's not just, on the consumer end, but on the back end, like asking AI, like, how do I make my formulation more humidity resistant? And then just having all of that wealth and knowledge, I think is amazing. We got to do more of a deep dive on that.
Oh my God, I'm so down for a deep dive on AI. I want to nerd out on this.
Okay, well, we definitely will. But what else did you like about the conference?
I think it was really cool. There was one company, I think it was Parcom Paris, and they were a packaging company. They did all of the packaging for like the biggest luxury brands, and not just beauty. Like it was like Bottega Veneta, gorgeous, the beautiful green,
the Asaline.
Yes, Asaline, the publishing company. They did, I'm trying to think what else, Bulgari, and then the Peninsula Hotel, which also, sidebar, I'm just throwing in a fun anecdote. Julia, remember we went to the Peninsula recently and we got like dinner and drinks at the bar?
Yeah, we had a great time.
We had a fab time, but like looking around that bar, I did not know this was a thing, but like the Peninsula is a hotspot for hookers. Like straight up. No, yeah, for real. There was this guy, there was this good looking, like older man, kind of silver haired daddy sort of situation. And he goes, "Hi girls," like, da, da, da. And we're like, "Hello, nice to meet you." We turn back around, hooker.
I know. She swooped right in. It was like lightning fast.
And he also, like told us where, like, he's like, "Oh, I live in Santa Monica." And he was just like, we're like, "Okay, that's great." And we're like, "Oh, we put it together. You hooker, one night at the Peninsula." And then we took a look around the room and we're like, oh snap, there's a lot of these.
Yes, it's like you see one. It's like when you see a flock of deer.
Yeah.
Like you see one deer and you just know there's like 6 other deer in the area. Like it was like straight up like that. But I don't know. It's not that shocking. Like in Beverly Hills.
It's not shocking. It's just so funny because it just happened. And then I realized they did the Peninsula packaging and I'm like, oh, wow. It's like you said, it's like when you hear someone say one word and suddenly you hear it all the time.
Yes.
It's one of those situations for me.
Yeah. But I think it was so funny. I don't know why they came up to us. I was like scarfing down a beet salad.
We were like so hungry.
We were so hungry.
Okay, but what about you, Julie? What was your favorite thing?
Oh my gosh. So my favorite thing, it was this one provider that did customized packaging. And I got to see some of my absolute favorite products because I'm a sucker for pretty packaging.
Same, girl.
And I saw the Isamaya dick lips. And you guys...
Wait. Okay. So we need context here. If you guys have not seen this before, so Isamaya French, she has this beautiful cosmetic line, but she's known for this super viral. We did like a TikTok, Instagram on this, but she's known for this like lipstick that's literally shaped like a dick.
It's insane. And I was just like tickled to go and see it in person. And it was so funny because this booth, they did not have the dick lips on display.
No,
but what
we
they
had to
did
ask.
have is their other packaging that I had identified. I'm like, that's an Isamaya. Like, let me see. And I had to ask the woman, and it was an Italian brand, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you have the dick lips? And she's just like, un moment. And then she went to the back to these boxes and she's like digging it out. And I was like kind of being cheeky with her. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know you keep this in the back for a reason. And then she's like, we have it. And then she brought it out. And it's like, first of all, it was bigger than I thought.
And heavy. Legit. I think the thing was like 5 pounds. I was like, whoa.
It's like a paperweight for sure. But no, that was my favorite thing. I thought it was just like so like, because I guess it's like an online brand for the most part. So I hadn't seen one, and I'm not about to shell out $95 for like a gilded dildo, essentially. But
because it kind of looks like one.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I mean, it's small, but like I guess you could.
Anything. That's what they say.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry.
That's gonna turn into you know when like have you ever heard those like horror stories of like ER people and they're like
the things they find in people's bodies?
No, people's butts. Like specifically butts. I think a lot of things get lodged in people's butts. Anyway, that just made me think of that.
Oh my God. But
anything I guess could be a dildo.
That was sunset. But regardless, that was my favorite thing that I saw. I got a kick out of it. And it was funny also just talking to her about the design process of the dick lips. Because in like following Isamaya French online, like she went really into detail about how many iterations she did. And it was so funny. I remember looking at her Instagram and she shared photos of like the notes that she had with this packaging design team saying like, could you add a little more girth? Like...
You know, we make the balls a little
bigger. No, literally, like that's what it said. Like in the thing, like she's just adding all these notes, and you know, it's so funny meeting the person on the other side of that business call because I'm just sure, like, whenever a request from Isamaya's team came in, they're just like,
gotta fix the dick,
kind of like shaking their heads. But at the same time, it's like a viral product. It's sold out, and it worked for her. And
I mean, it's actually a good product too. That's the thing. Like it's a nice lipstick.
Fun fact, it worked for us too because that was our most viral video to date on our social media talking about this lipstick. But I just saw it and I was just like, this is the funniest thing I've seen. But maybe it's like the 13-year-old boy in me.
I think it's kind of kitsch, but in like she does kitsch in a very elevated way.
Oh, for sure. Like kitsch, camp, maybe camp?
A little camp.
Okay.
But like
I'm not up to date on my drag terms, so I think it's one or the other.
I don't know.
No, but like she's so fabulous, and she's created some of the most like iconic looks. Like some of my favorite looks from Rihanna.
Yes,
it's an Isamaya French look, and she's really avant-garde for the most part as a makeup artist.
Yeah,
and I like that she embodies that with her packaging. And yes, she has the dick lips, but there's like other products too that are so edgy. Like some of them, it's like a lip gloss tube, but it looks like it has like a nipple piercing on it.
Yeah, it's got the little chain and stuff like on there
too. Yeah, but one thing that's really fun and more beauty news, towards the end of the episode, but she is launching in Sephora.
I know. I'm so excited for her.
I think she's doing a total refresh of all of the packaging. I don't think Sephora kids would appreciate, or the moms of Sephora kids would appreciate seeing like a golden dick on the display stands. But the new packaging still looks fabulous, and I think it still does embody her brand, and probably just a little more of like a PG
version.
Way. Yeah.
I mean,
this episode, however, not PG.
It's not.
No.
It's
one of these
really
days
hard.
we'll make a PG version of an episode. We'll try.
Will we? I don't know.
You don't even want to try.
I don't even want to try. That's just not how my brain works. We don't want the censors, you guys. I mean, it's fun.
I have fun.
I have fun too. Yeah, this is all good. Okay, so you know what? I'm really excited because I think we're also going to probably, based off this convo, I feel like we got to talk about white labeling next time too.
We got to do white labeling, aka turnkey. We got to do AI.
AI for sure.
And
So
I
down.
don't know about you. Actually, I do know you. Another one on sunscreen.
Yes, deep dive on sunscreen. We can totally nerd out on that.
Yes, because I think for me, and I know for you too, that is my number one beauty product that I need to have. Like
1000%.
I can throw away everything else. I will literally burn it before I give up sunscreen.
Yeah, everyone always asks me like, what's the one thing I should be doing for my skin? And I'm like, sunscreen. Then they look at me, they're like, I don't want to wear sunscreen. I'm like, all right, peace out. You have shit skin then.
Sucks for you.
Sucks to be you. But yes, we'll definitely do that one too.
Okay, great.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This was a super fun episode. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, and stay tuned for next week where we will have another episode.
And be sure to hit that follow and subscribe button. Leave us some love in the reviews, and be sure to share this with a friend who needs a glow up.
And if you love us, and we hope you do, please feel free to follow us on socials. You can find us at GlowJob Podcast. You can follow Miss Sasa at Sasa No Skin, or myself, Julia, at Skin Sift.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.